Not religion, not good works, Jesus, you'll know salvation. And you'll get a mic and you'll start preaching. I guarantee you. I will guarantee you'll have a message. Okay? Sinners live their message. We see it going on tonight. And it's a horrible message. And it's all about me. You know the middle word in sin is I. And that's the biggest religion in the city of Toronto. Self-worship. And it's getting us nowhere. It's getting us nowhere, but God's got a solution out of the mess that we're in. He came down, He lived an obedient life, He sacrificed that life, and He says, I'll give you my righteousness.
Yes,
do you want God's righteousness, or do you want your own? God says your own is filthy, because you're corrupt because of sin. So you can try and do all the good you want. What's coming out is stains. What's coming out is pride. You know there's not going to be a single person in heaven that deserves to be there? Not a single person in heaven deserves to be there. We're all there because of grace. The Bible says, not of works, lest anyone should boast. Are we saved? You're not going to boast if you get to heaven. You're going to be praising God for the rest of eternity. But you know what? There's people in hell right now that could start up a company, and they would fund a company to send preachers out to warn. That is the only company people would like to establish in hell. For one man who went to hell said, can you send others to warn? Can you send others to warn my family? I know I'm here. I know it's over. 5 years, if hell was only for 5 years, oh, there would be hope. 10,000 years, there would be hope. The Bible says it's eternal. Jesus said you'd be better off sawing off your arm. You'd be better off cutting off your foot, because the consequences of sin are going to be so severe. Because God is committed to punishing sin. So we preach against sin, and you know it's awful. But you know what? You've got a warning system and you call a conscience that bothers you. So you don't want to admit it's wrong. You don't want to admit God is holy because you probably couldn't even sleep tonight. You probably wouldn't be able to go to bed tonight if you admitted your sin was wrong. You probably wouldn't be able to go to bed tonight if you admitted you're on your way to hell. But you know what? It would bring you to salvation. It would bring you to a holy God who's got His hands stretched out. Now we nailed His hands. What more can God do, folks? He's not going to justify your sin. He's not going to justify your pot. He's not going to justify your porn. And it doesn't matter how disgraceful it becomes, people are still going to hold on to it. And wives and marriages are being destroyed because of it. It is the most horrible thing. Wives are being compared to whores. Wives are being compared to women that have sex with 5 guys. Talk about despicable. And children are being educated on it. And they're asking other children, do you do this? Do you do that? Wake up, people, and realize your sin is going to get you to eternal hell. You know it, and I'm here to remind you of it, and that's why you're upset. But I do this out of love. Who's warning you of the wrath that is to come? Who is warning you of a holy God? But it is the love of God that is touching us right now. The love of God came to the sin-filled world, and the love of God was willing to become sin for us.
That's wrong.
That is right, and prove I'm wrong. Come on, prove it.
Child's play. Matthew 10:34.
Come on closer. Prove that I'm wrong.
Matthew 10:34.
Matthew 10:24 or 34?
34.
Okay.
I came back to be a sword. He is not a God of peace. He's actually been... if anyone actually bothers to read the Bible, by the way, best way to become an atheist, but...
Can I answer your question now? Jesus did say, I have come to bring the sword. Because when you stand for righteousness, you're gonna be standing in battle against unrighteousness.
Wrong.
Okay? No, right. That's why you're at war with me right now. Okay?
I am not at war.
Jesus, is the Prince of Peace, who came to give you peace with God. But because people are at war with God because they love their sin, they don't have peace. So when God makes me right, when He gives me His righteousness, then I stand on the right side. The right side. And God is a divider. He's not a universalist. He's gonna divide that line. You better get on the right side. So you've got a choice. You want to stay on the wrong side, that's fine. But when I come to the light and you're in darkness, you're at war with me, man. So Jesus says, I'm bringing that kind of war. I'm bringing that kind of war.
Then I say to God, bring it on.
Bring it on. God will bring it on.
I've been waiting for 2,000
You know what?
years.
You know what?
Nothing happened.
You know what? Why don't you go break the law and tell the officers bring it on? Your little knees would be shaking, man. Your little knees would be shaking.
Hang on, I'm talking to him.
Man's justice, your little knees would be knocking together. You know they got places where they put men 50 years solitary, and they have taken out their eyeballs, man. And the Bible says it is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of a living God.
Better to leave. Hey, if you want to die on your knees for conformity, I'll stay on my feet. Fighting for real.
You're not in conformity, you're in slavery, man. You're in slavery, you're not in conformity. The Bible says that when you sin, it's your master. It tapped you on the shoulder tonight and you went and did what it told you to do.
First things first, in order for you to say that sin exists, could you kindly prove to me that God exists in the first place?
You're standing here, you're evidence of God right now. DNA, what is that? Software. It tells the machinery of your cells what to do. Who wrote that? Who wrote that information? Who wrote the information of the DNA? The software that tells the machinery of your cells what to do. The Big Bang wrote it?
They're using the God of the Gaps policy. Nice try.
I'm talking about DNA, I'm not using the God of the Gaps. I'm saying there's information in your body. Who wrote it?
DNA is the product of thousands of millions of years of evolution. Nice try.
Nice fairy tale. It's a beautiful fairy tale. I highly recommend you go to the children's section next time you want to find books on evolution, because we all know the insanity of saying we have complexity, we have design, we have beauty, we have, the Bible says, the visible qualities of God as we look at creation and the order and the design of it all. And the Bible says, no, I gotta finish. The Bible says the only reason why you are suppressing the knowledge of God is because you love your sin. That is the only reason, not an intellectual problem. You're not gonna have an intellectual problem on the day of judgment. You're not gonna have an intellectual problem. Your problem is with the righteousness of God. Your problem is with the standards of God. That's all that it is. You wanna live your way. You want to believe in a fairy tale that tells you there's no God that you're going to be accountable to? It makes you feel good? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first things first. I asked you to provide evidence. You did not provide evidence. You just tried to get me to prove a negative. Nice try.
Okay, so we got a building behind you. Did it come together all together on its own? Information and design, materials, all work.
Look, you're just borrowing from Ray Comfort. It's not working. Anybody who actually goes online, looks up Ray Comfort, can find out that he's a fraud, and then you're just using his information. Really?
Okay, so we got scenario one. We've got nothing. We've got nothing. I don't know how that can be. And then somehow we've got energy and matter. Yeah. And all of a sudden we've got complexity. You are the most complex machine walking the face of the earth right now.
Wrong.
Your body's doing a 1,000 different things you're not even aware of right now. Okay? We don't even understand most of what's going on right now around this world. We're like a little ant that's climbed up to a blade of grass and we say, oh, we've discovered the world. We've discovered nothing.
Can I say one thing?
Einstein said we're like a bunch of kids.
Quote my name.
Einstein said we're like a bunch of kids in a big library with all these books. We don't understand them. We know someone has written them. We know someone has written them. And we know someone has written it. And we don't understand all of it. God has created. He has proved his invisible quality by the visible things that he's made. You know that. I'm not going to put God on trial. You're just defending your sin. Case closed. Case closed.
Case still open.
All I gotta say is this guy's a fucking fake, okay? You all know what God is all about. You listen to him, bullshit.
Look at his heart condition.
So what is God all about, my friend? God is all about getting high. God is all about living for things, not living for people. God is all about pornography. Is that what God is all about? Well, your made-up God is. So what kind of God you got tonight? You got a little made-up God? Then he's okay with your sin? No, the God of the Bible is a holy God. And in spite of your sin, he died for you. He didn't just say, come here. He actually died while you were a sinner. He actually died while you mock him. Okay? Sure, you've got your myth. And the Bible says that while we were sinners, God died for us. He demonstrated his love for us. If you want that love, it is available tonight. It is available tonight. No one's risen from the dead. He died publicly. He rose from the dead publicly. Okay? And he will raise you. He will raise you from the dead. You're walking dead right now, man. You're dead in your sin. He will raise you up, man. He will raise you to life. You're not finding life in your sin, and you know that. So God still raises from the dead.
Try to reroute the conversation, doesn't work either.
Okay. God bless you. Anybody else?
I think he believes in Big Bang.
The Bible says it is appointed unto man once to die and then the judgment. where you're going to have to stand before God and give an account for what you've done in this physical body. Okay? And you know, God is not going to use your standard. He's not going to use my standard. Because, you know, according to my standard, which may be as high as the curb, I may be good. You know, I may be okay. But God is going to use the standard, which had we kept it, we would not have had the world that we're living in today. But in spite of you breaking God's standard, which means you've got to admit you're not good, God has made a way, folks. The Bible calls it the way of salvation. You can't save yourself. You can't uncorrupt yourself. Yes, ma'am, you got a question?
No, I want to say you're very good. Remind the fella who's challenging you that he wants to be his own God.
Oh, I told him that half an hour ago. Yeah, and I think he knows that. Okay, so God bless you. Well, you see, people say I'm not religious. Of course you're religious. You're religious about your pornography. You're religious about your sports game. You're religious about your entertainment. You're religious about your video games. They can't even pull you away from your video games. And don't worry about doing well in the video games. You got to be concerned about the game of life, my friends. You might be doing very well with the video game, but you could be losing in the game of life. And the goal is eternity. The goal is eternity. It's not a nice house. It's not this and that. So at the end of the day, you're worshiping something. You are devoted to something. What is it? What is your God? It could be yourself. It could be your money. You are devoted to something. The Bible says that literally when you reject God, you become what? A children of a lesser God. That God does not have eyes. He doesn't have ears. He can't feel for you. Your porn doesn't feel for you. The six-pack doesn't feel for you, but God feels for you because He chose to suffer. The Bible says that Jesus became a man of suffering. He chose to. You're never going to be able to stand before God and say, you know, God, you never understood when I went through that. No, He does. He actually suffered, and He chose to suffer so He could feel what you feel. But the question is, who is your God? Is He going to, does He feel for you? Can He save you? Can He hear your cry when you are so fed up with the life that you've been living? And I want to tell you the true and the living God can. But you've got to stop playing games. You've got to stop going to church and then going back to the clubs and going back and living your sinful life. You know you're playing a game. You've got to reject your sin. I did that when I was 16 years old. I sit on the edge of my bed after years of war with God, and I said, that's it, God. You broke me. You brought me to this hard place. I give it up. And when I gave it up, when I signed it...